Hello and welcome to Culture Illiterate One Shots, a podcast where four friends talk about movies, or I guess in this case, a mini-series that they love. We're doing a fall/Thanksgiving special today. I am Jake, and I have technically been in an episode of Good Mythical Morning.
I'm Jason, and my hair's growing back.
Getting shaved again. Time to hit up Nick.
Well, he shaved his own head, but not mine, bum-ass.
Tell me when it looks smooth as a baby's bottom.
Anyway.
How about our third host?
I already said I'm Matt.
What's
You
your
got a fun fact.
I'm tired.
I feel like that's his fact in 3/4 of the episodes.
That's
I'll
Matt's
give a
fact.
fun fact about Matt.
Yeah. He's your groupie?
No, he's very sweet.
Oh,
Aww.
what a good pal.
I like blowing bubbles.
And I'm Bubbles.
I'm okay.
That
I
was
like-
a fun fact. Nice.
I'm Sean, and my fun fact is that today I made sweet potato soup, and I thought I would hate sweet potatoes. Well, I do hate sweet potatoes, but like the soup
Why the fuck you
was
make the soup?
it had crab in it. That's why I wanted to make it. It sounds like the most awful thing in the world, but it ended up fantastic, and I have a new favorite soup now. Probably.
I don't really like
Your favorite soup
Only
is sweet
uncultured
potato
people
and
like
crab?
don't like sweet
Yes, it was
potatoes.
delicious.
I mean,
it was
I love sweet
fan-
potatoes, so that sounds good.
I'm not
it
a
was
big soup guy.
fantastic.
I just don't know why you couldn't have found if you knew you didn't like sweet potato, why wouldn't you find a soup recipe with crab in it without sweet potato? Like, it worked out, but that seems like a needless risk.
It had
Like a
it had
bisque.
spices and other things in it. That's what changes the flavor. I don't want it to
Yeah,
just taste like.
I too
Thank you.
spice my food, yes.
Whenever anybody makes sweet potato, it's always just sweet potato and like I don't know. Usually there's like marshmallows or
Hanging out
some
with the
Or
garbage
like
shit
brown sugar.
or
That's
brown
on
sugar.
Thanksgiving specifically.
Yeah,
That's
but
the only way I've
that's
ever
a
had it before.
common
All the
way
rest
to-
of the ways,
That's a
sweet
common
potato-
way to serve sweet potatoes in general.
I
Yeah.
had like a poor phase in college where I like for a lot of dinners I had
The phrase poor phase is going to get us canceled if we had people that actually listen.
I had like a phase in college
It would not get you canceled.
where I would just have a microwave
so
sweet
dramatic.
potato.
Cancel
For
culture's not
dinner.
real. So.
And so if you microwave a sweet potato for like about 6 minutes, it turns out really nice. You stick some butter in it. It's great. That's not my
I don't like sweet potatoes.
How about you introduce yourself and give your actual
No.
fun?
I don't
Hey!
like sweet potatoes.
I'm Priya.
Are you sure?
My fun fact is that, yes, I'm positive. My fun fact is that I am in a dance show coming up called Naughty and Spice, but it's not what you think it is.
I don't know what that means, to be honest.
Exactly. It's elusive.
Is it like Ice Spice?
Gets people thinking.
No. Yeah, imagine she was there.
That sounds like what's her face from She-Hulk. What was her
Oh.
name? What was her name? It started with an M.
Oh,
Megan Thee Stallion?
No. What was the girl who's like every time she would say her name and she'd spell it out and then she'd say I have a Y in there, but it's not where you think it is.
Yeah, Madison. Yeah, Madison. Madison with the Y, but it's not where you think. Yeah.
Oh, I was so pick me.
I mean, but we like you. I like you. Priya's my fiance. I've referenced her plenty. All right. So it's been a while since we've done this. So does anyone have any recs built up? Because I don't even remember the last time we
Yeah.
recorded an episode.
Jason just says,
Shit.
yeah! And then nothing else.
I have a rec. You guys, everybody should go watch Red One in IMAX because it's going to be just as good as Oppenheimer. Just remember
Oppenheimer.
that.
Yeah, did y'all see
The
that?
sound design will blow up. It will change your Red One experience. You should go watch it.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Oh my
Red One is, I don't know if you've seen the trailer. It's the really awful Chris Evans, The Rock Christmas movie.
Oh, yeah.
Really
Yeah, but Dwayne
fantastic.
Johnson said that he went to go see Oppenheimer and asked to sit in the same seat that Christopher Nolan screens all his movies in, and it inspired him to be like, we have to use this technology for Red One and it'll be game over. And put Red One
And
on
was it?
the same plane. No, it's supposed to be awful.
It
But
has
you
a
still-
38% on Rotten Tomatoes.
But even if it's good, it's like a silly Christmas movie, which is like has its place, but then you're comparing it to like Oppenheimer, which is probably one of the most like important movies of our lifetime.
Oh,
What's
my old ass.
Oh, My Old Ass is good. Did I wreck that before?
With Aubrey
I don't think
Plaza. No.
Aubrey Plaza and my
Okay.
girl Maddie Ziegler is like in it a bit. She's in it all.
Everyone should watch The Wild Robot. That is a really good movie.
Oh, that is a good one.
Fuck.
No, you don't. You wish. Be here on a Friday night recording this podcast if you did.
I liked Smile too.
Oh, Smile 2 was good.
Gosh, I liked it better than the first.
I'm so sad.
You still haven't seen it?
I liked it better than the first. Counterparts put out an EP called Heaven Let Them Die, and it's amazing. It's their best project to date, in my opinion. Now proceed.
I'll keep it to the stuff I just saw this past weekend, but Honora, Sean Baker, excellent filmmaker. A lot of movies about sex work and immigrants. But Honora is probably the funniest movie I've seen all year, and also like very emotional still, very good balance. And then Priya just almost fell out of her chair. And then
they're gonna have asthmatic breathing.
Two very different movies about kind of religion and about like where you pull your values from. Conclave, which is more of like a slowly unfolding drama about electing a new pope, and then Heretic, which is a pretty twisty and turny, wild horror. But both of those were great. So any of those three movies you should make a point to see because they're some of the best of the year.
I will also recommend Heretic. That was a good movie.
And I'll recommend Heretic Anthem by Slipknot. It's a good song.
And I'll tell a brief story about going to see Heretic because I went to go see it with Haley, my sister, Jason's sister as well. And
what?
Of course...
She is.
We're not supposed to know that. Haley has a phobia of... I don't even know if I can... Is she going to be afraid if I say pulse taking? Do I have to believe that?
Won't say it that many times.
Okay, well that. And of course that happens in the movie. And she was... I like asked her if she wanted to go see a movie. And I asked her about all three of those because they all were like seemed like things up her alley. And of course the one she's picked is that one. So that was rough for her, but a little bit funny for me. I'm not going to lie. I also have a funny story, but I don't want to stop anyone's wrecks. If anyone has any more.
I recommend building models with Matt. Every time we do it, it's an absolute disaster.
All right, send us an email if you want to build Gunpla with Matt.
The best part is that it's always Sean's fault. He always starts to build parts and goes, "Oh, where did I put the sticker?"
No.
And then he goes, and then the sticker goes 5 steps beforehand before all the other parts, and then we have to disassemble tiny plastic pieces.
Matt kept giving me the wrong minutes. Parts.
And so was the downfall.
You wasted 20 minutes of our time.
Matt wasted a good portion of our time by giving us the wrong parts.
Well, guess what? That was easily fixed. The sticker thing took forever. You had to take out your pocket knife.
Yeah,
We should all agree that we should kill Matt. That's how this works.
And guess what, Sean? We're gonna do it again.
I'm okay with that. We're
gonna do it again.
Legal reasons, it's a joke.
Yeah.
So, what were you gonna say, Jace?
Tyler, the Creator's new album's pretty good too.
I need to listen to that. I need to listen to that.
Solid.
It's pronounced Pornocopia.
I would say it's his best album lyrically, in my opinion. From a lyrical standpoint, it's his best. But good album.
So I have a bit of a reputation. Most of the people who listen to this who are family already know this, of like picking things up and putting them down absent-mindedly and not knowing where I put them down. The thing that happens most frequently with, just because it's kind of always on my person ideally, is my phone. I reached a new low today. Jason already, I don't know if you're caught up with the family chat, if you've seen this or not, but I figured Matt and Sean may get a kick out of it.
I feel like the viewers probably can hear me and Jason both rolling our eyes at this moment. Go.
I had a moment today where I was getting up. I was going to go to the bathroom. I wanted to make sure I had my phone on me. I had headphones in. I was like listening to a podcast playing while I worked. And I was like, let me get my phone. And I spent several minutes searching my apartment for my phone. And then I went, I'll just call it. And I was holding my phone. And I started typing my own phone number into my own phone with the intent to call my phone so I could find it. And I was about 3 numbers deep when I realized this entire time I've just been holding my phone.
Brilliant.
And I genuinely had the thought, I'll call my phone.
Yeah, that's gotta be one of the dumbest things you've ever done.
Now I have the genuine question of who has more brain cells, Matt when he's tired or Jake trying to call his own phone in his hand?
Matt when was tired.
I mean, I was tired. It was in the morning. Yeah, that
ain't no excuse.
I mean, I don't have
early in the morning.
It was in the AM. I was working. My attention was split.
So you're probably doing a great job, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing my job.
I was hard at work looking for my phone that was in my hand.
It took several minutes, just going in circles. And I was never not holding it at any point during this. Oh man! So I just needed to relay that happened, and I was like, I think I'm recording tonight because, God, that's a podcast story.
Because God doesn't love you.
Correct.
God doesn't love any of us.
So if you guys are ready,
no.
Do you want to talk about what we're talking about? Because Sean messes with the document.
I didn't mess with anything. I don't know what you're talking. I only made one edit.
Jake's gonna pose a question that's really scintillating.
I'm not actually, because I'm not going to say it.
He should.
So we are covering the miniseries that actually just had its 10th anniversary, Over the Garden Wall, which is an animated series with a voice cast starring Elijah Wood as Wirt, Colin Dean as Gregory, Melanie Linsky as Beatrice, Christopher Lloyd as the Woodsman, Samuel Ramey as the Beast, and many other guest stars. But the series was created by, thanks for adding this in, Sean Patrick McHale, directed by Nate Cash, with the story from Tom Herpick. And obviously animation is the work of many people, but Ryan Wasson was credited as the lead animator, so just I want to at least acknowledge somebody. Had everyone here seen this before? I know Sean had showed it to me, but I don't know, and so obviously Sean has, but I'm not sure about everyone's, if everyone was familiar with this. Do you just raise your hand as if people can see it?
I sure did. Well, I
did.
Well, did Sean show it to you, I assume? Or did I?
Sean.
Okay, that's what I
showed it to both of us.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I showed it to both of you.
That's what I thought, but then when I said that, you didn't respond, so I wasn't sure.
I raised my hand, Jacob.
I raised my hand.
For our video listeners on Patreon.
On our Patreon fans.
Our Patreon fans.
There too. What about you, Matt? Had you seen this before, I assume?
Yes, I have seen it before.
I figured. Seems very Matt.
Yeah, I actually watched it I think a year after it officially released. So I basically watched the clip of The Beast, and I thought it was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen for like a kids television series. Is I went to watch the whole thing. It was fantastic, and I've been rewatching it somewhat consistently ever since. I usually try to watch it every fall.
Yeah, it's actually shocking how like good of a show it is for new Cartoon Network. I don't know, like I feel like my favorite Cartoon Network is from my childhood, obviously, but like this is peak, you know.
They've put out some good shows.
She's talking like a bro.
Of things that are like fairly recently, depending on who you are. Steven Universe is good.
I haven't seen it yet. Infinity Train.
Infinity Train was good, but then they destroyed it.
Why?
They destroyed it.
Why did they?
Adventure Time and all of its spin-offs are
still... Watch it legally.
Or Adventure Time ended, but its spin-offs, I believe, are still going on.
And I've heard all of that's good.
There's some other weird little things in there that I know have probably...
Maybe I simply need to watch Cartoon Network again. Like, is what I'm getting from this conversation.
I'm not sure if there's anything good recently. Mostly thanks to Warner Brothers.
There's been some stuff that's good recently.
I just... Truther.
Teen Titans Go has been a chef's kiss.
I'm a truther, man. That shit gets way too shit on.
That shit gets way too shit on.
That shit gets way
Right.
too.
I heard the
Shut up,
movie was
Jason.
good.
Did you see the movie's? It's very funny. Jason, had you seen Over the Garden Wall before?
I'd seen the first episode a couple times. I think I was there when Sean showed the two of you, but I didn't like stick around for the entirety of it. So I've never seen the entirety of the full series. I still haven't. I didn't watch it for this.
This guy.
No, but this was my first time watching. Like, I think I had only ever seen maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes at most.
Also, for me, I can't remember what got me into it. I know I watched it about same as like Matt, like a year after it came out for the first time. If I remember correctly, I think it was that this is gonna sound really weird, but like I've looked at a lot of Elijah Wood's random shit that isn't Lord of the Rings because he has such a weird like filmography for just anything. He was Spyro the Dragon in like various Spyro games. He was
I didn't know that.
Dyslexic already.
A couple of other random movies that are like not something I would have expected him to be in, and then there was like Over the Garden Wall, and then I saw that it was like
and wasn't sorry, not to interrupt, but wasn't he in that show with that guy in the dog suit?
Yes, that was like
What?
It was called like
Wilfred or something.
Wilfred.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wilfred. Yeah.
And it was like
I'm not familiar.
No, you've had to have seen it before, bro.
I don't think so.
Look up
Priya's looking it up.
Wilfred.
Looking it up. She
It's
was looking
like
up
this
Spyro.
guy
She was
in a
like, Wilfred.
dog suit, bro.
Yeah, Wilfred.
I didn't
Wilfred's
mean to throw
correct.
this off the track.
It was on Fox.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. No.
It was another
That's
movie.
not-
saw
that's-
that.
I don't think that's actual.
No.
Looks. That's.
I mean, there's also another
Yeah.
good movie
Yeah.
he was in.
Oh,
I think what was it? It was like
there's a
It was
lot
like
of things
him.
he's been in that
He's
are
in
good,
a lot
man.
of things, yeah. He's
it was like
an
him and like this
accomplished actor.
depressed woman fighting criminals or something. I think it was I don't belong in this world
This is weird.
anymore, or I don't feel like
I don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but
I'm not familiar with his work other than this and other than Over the Garden Wall and Lord of the Rings.
I found it. It's called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, and it's pretty good. So you should go watch it. It's on Netflix.
Now I'm looking. Now I'm just on his IMDb.
But yeah. Anyways, Ben in some weird shit. And I think that what I saw was that he was in Over the Garden Wall, and I saw it was Cartoon Network's only miniseries that they ever produced, and also that it was like a fall-themed show. And I had never... I can't really off the top of my head name a show that's fall-themed. Because,
Over the
like...
Garden Wall.
Gilmore Girls.
Like, entirely. Like, I mean, there's only one thing about it that is fall-themed. Or there's only... It is just fall-themed. Like, it's like... When
like,
you
what's
see,
the
like,
real
the
thing?
Christmas specials playing every year on, like... any of, like, back in the day on, like, ABC Family or all that shit.
Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin.
Okay, you know what? There's Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin. We got that. There's one.
Thanksgiving and the Thanksgiving one.
And the
too.
Thanksgiving one.
I don't. My boy, don't
But
slander my boy.
those are just like individual specials too. though.
Yeah,
Like, this is a whole
Sean's point
miniseries.
is coming across well. I think we're just giving him shit.
But, like, I couldn't think of anything, so I was like, I'll check this out. And I really didn't check it out without looking further into it, other than, like, there was some weird stuff about it being a bit creepy, and that was as far as it went. And so I watched it, and I loved it, and the Beast has very beautiful eyes.
Sean has a crush on
I thought they looked like Jawbreakers or like everlasting
Wait.
gobstoppers.
Good band.
There's
Not
also the
so
Beast in, like, the
bad.
first episode that's just the
In
dog, and when he's
real life,
looking
not
in the
in
barrel, and he just looks at them, and he goes, "You have beautiful eyes."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best.
eyes.
That answers my question what I was gonna ask pretty well anyway, because I was wondering how you came across it, because it's so associated with you in my mind since you showed it to me, and I know you love it so much. But I wasn't actually sure if you had how you came across it. You were just researching fall things.
So yeah, I was researching Elijah Wood, and it led to some weird ass shit.
Sean likes to be festive.
Elijah Wood.
He loves a fall.
It's a fall last name.
Elijah Wood.
Wait, Wood? I feel like Wood is a fall thing.
What the fuck is fall about wood?
You know, like falling leaves. Like trees are wood, and trees have falling leaves, and you make fire out of trees.
Trees are around year round, brother.
And like log cabin.
In fact, they're dormant in the fall, dickhead. What are you talking about?
Does this sound off? Man, it says Wood. Folly last name.
Yes or no, and why?
Is it? Yeah.
That was so strange to say.
Shut up.
Shut up.
All right. Well, do you guys? I put in a pretty like top level plot synopsis, but we can go episode by episode if you guys would prefer. I can use like the synopsis they have for each individual one. I don't know how y'all want to do this. We've never covered I mean, this is a mini series, but it's like less than 2 hours total runtime, so it's basically a movie.
Just do the entire thing, and then we discuss what we liked from individual episodes.
Okay, I like when Matt calls shots, so I'm gonna listen.
Matt hates the description. Like every episode, he's like, "Can we just skip the description and talk?"
He does always say that,
even though he talks the least. The series follows two brothers, Wirt and Greg, who are really they're half brothers, who become lost in a strange forest referred to as the Unknown. To find their way home, they must travel across this mysterious forest with occasional help of a wandering elderly woodsman and who's a little cagey, and Beatrice, an irritable bluebird who travels with the boys to find a woman called Adelaide, who can supposedly undo the curse on Beatrice and her family and show the half-brothers their way home. The curse being turning them all into bluebirds, was they're actually humans. Anyway, Wirt, the older of the brothers, is a very worry-prone teenager who'd rather keep to himself and then have to make any kind of decision. His passions, Priya staring at me, accusingly. His passions include playing the clarinet and writing poetry, but he usually keeps those private out of fear of being mocked. On the other hand, Greg, the younger of the brothers, is more naive and carefree, much to Wirt's chagrin, annoyance. Greg carries a frog with him that he found, of which his attempts to name and rename it is a running gag. Stalking the main cast is the Beast, with aforementioned beautiful eyes, an ancient creature who leads the lost souls astray in the woods until they lose hope and willpower and turn into Edelwood trees. Once they find Adelaide, Wirt discovers that she intends only to enslave them. Outraged that Beatrice betrayed them, Wirt takes Greg and leaves her. Wirt is depressed and hopeless following this betrayal and starts to lose hope about being able to return home. Because of that loss of hope, the Beast is able to claim Wirt as his own. Greg volunteers to take his brother's place instead, willingly going with the Beast, while Beatrice rescues Wirt from drowning after he falls into a frozen lake. In the penultimate episode, it's revealed that Wirt and Greg are modern children from like current, like a normal world.
Modern children from modern times.
No, well, it's not like all fantastical.
I think they're from I think it's from like the 80s, anyways, is when it takes place because he's got like the cassette tape and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my main point being that it's not everything's been fantasy up until this point, so it's a bit of a reveal that they're like just normal kids, and that they're both dressed very whimsically, I guess you could say, and it's like their Halloween costumes is what you find out. Greg is an elephant, and by that I mean he has a teapot upside down on his head, and Wirt is kind of an undefined like gnome, I guess.
I'd say gnome.
We don't know what it is or what it's supposed to be, but nonetheless, it's still iconic.
He's like a gnome with a cape.
Yeah, so the two boys entered the unknown after falling into a pond on Halloween, when Wirt had was originally going to give a tape with some of his poetry on it to a girl he had a crush on, and then decided not to, but she wound up with the tape anyway. And then just a series of misfortunes leads them to falling into this pond and being in the unknown. After he tries to take the tape back from her and her friends at a graveyard, it's a little silly. So what? Is it not?
It's false, silly.
Yeah, well, they get chased by a police officer, and then there's a train. They wind up on a train track, and Wirt pushes Greg out of the way of the train. They fall into the pond. You're in the unknown. So you find out this is the precursor to the first episode, how they got there, and it seems like a limbo-like realm between life and death. In the final episode, Wirt, Beatrice, and the woodsman are able to save Greg from being turned into an Edelwood tree by the beast. At the end of the episode, Wirt and Greg wake up in a hospital back in their hometown. As the scene ends, Greg's frog, which swallowed a magic bell in the unknown, begins to glow, suggesting that their experience was real. The series ends with a montage of Wirt and Greg, how Wirt and Greg affected the inhabitants of the unknown. So that breezes over a lot, because each episode kind of has its own specific like little story to it of their journey. And in particular, I feel like right off the bat, it breezes over that what the woodsman, his motivations are, and because he's one of the, I think, more intriguing side characters.
The woodsman, very falsy.
Wood. See? It's all coming together. It's all coming together.
You're making coming together.
Should we save it? Is that a spoiler?
No. When have we ever not done spoilers? This is 10 years old.
Well, I feel like we should talk about the beginning first.
We can talk about whatever we want.
Oh, all right. Okay.
We can we can start by talking about the woodsman.
We can start wherever, but he does come up pretty early.
Yeah, he does. Comes up in the first episode. And
that's true.
I'm not sure if you brought it up already, but yeah, he is voiced by Christopher Lloyd, which was something I only discovered years after watching it, and my mind just kind of like had a moment where this guy who I knew as Doc Brown for so many years was voicing one of my favorite cartoons growing up, and I had no freaking clue. Almost just a shock is when I learned Elijah Wood voiced Wirt, so that was also shocking. I didn't really pay attention to who voiced these characters. I'm like, oh, they're cool. This guy does a good job.
Don't forget what's his face who plays Auntie Whispers.
Oh yeah, Tim Curry.
Tim Curry is Auntie Whispers.
That's Tim Curry?
It is Tim Curry.
I didn't know that.
It's fantastic.
That's crazy.
The original from the 90s.
Wow.
The Woodsman is such an intriguing character because they do a good job of making him very ambiguous on whether, he is the good guy or the bad guy. Like in the beginning, he does seem like very empathetic to Wirt and
Greg.
See, I like these rambles. See, it's like one of these rambles. It just slips my mind, especially when I'm tired. But he was very empathetic toward Greg and Wirt, and was very much willing to help them. And even when them or trying to take care of the quote unquote beast results in his oil mill getting destroyed, he doesn't really get mad at them. Well, he gets upset that it's destroyed, but he's more upset at like Greg for not taking responsibility for Greg's actions as the older brother. And then like later down the line,
that's just breaking down the entire episode.
Yeah, Greg's younger.
Yeah, Wirt is the older brother.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I said it twice. Whoops. But yeah, so he's more upset that Wirt is basically blaming Greg for destroying the mill when he is the older brother, and so he's the one who should take responsibility. And yeah, like he's very, very empathetic, especially when you get to know like why he is just wandering these woods and chopping down these redwood trees. And he honestly has like the most interesting relationship because people there was like a moment in which you think the woodsman is the quote unquote beast that everybody is terrified of, but it's more like he works closely. He's more associates with the beast. It's like a working relationship with the beast.
I feel like for a lot of it, I thought it was the beast or the bad guy.
Yeah, they really.
I feel like most of it, I thought I was under the impression. I mean, I don't.
Well,
I
yeah.
feel like
pick
it
up
was.
things the fastest, but like
Well,
they did a good job making him creepy. They did a good job making him seem like the one who was after the two of them.
I mean, old man in all black carrying around an axe and a lantern in the woods is like inherently you're gonna be like a little mistrusting of him.
Team Bear.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, but like, I feel like to me it kind of almost seemed like I was like back and forth with the woodsman, where like sometimes he seemed like he was all right, and maybe he was just like being like, you know, a puppet for someone, which obviously we found out he was. But like there were times that it seemed like I wasn't sure, you know what I mean? Like I was like maybe he's a little off-putting, but maybe he's just, you know, maybe he is safe for them. What, I don't know. So that's how I felt. It kept me guessing. I was very back and forth.
kept you on your tootsies.
Kept me on my tootsies.
Not the Tootsies.
I mean, the whole show's like that though, because kind of each episode you're introduced to somebody that it's very much don't judge a book by its cover, because like we talked about Anti-Whisper a minute ago just because of Tim Curry, but like you're obviously very like in that episode, jumping ahead, Anti-Whisper is the character you're introduced to that you're very who's very creepy and you're not very comfortable with. You don't want her to find Greg and Wirt, and it ends up being her niece that is the real danger to them, that had presented so innocently. And that kind of goes throughout, because like on the opposite end of the woodsman you have Beatrice, who granted does save them in the end, but it's a lot easier to trust a little bluebird than it is the guy with the axe. But really, you know, when they first encounter both of them, the bluebird is really the more duplicitous of the two.
Duplicitous. I feel like the show as a whole does a really good job walking the line between what's cozy and what's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the entire time I feel like I'm wrapped in a blanket and, you know, could drift off to sleep right away. But at the same time, each episode is like, are they good? Are they bad? What's their intentions? Each episode is like a little dark and creepy.
I was gonna say I get that a lot from the Pumpkins. Everybody in Pottsfield.
The Pumpkins are mostly creepy.
Which, fun fact for everybody who hasn't heard this fact, because I feel like it gets said a lot when it comes to the show, but they call it Pottsfield in the show because it's supposed to be based on a potter's field, which is where they bury their dead back in the day.
I didn't know that.
A potter's field is what they used to call a grave site for people they buried back in the day, which is why it's called Pottsfield and they're all dead.
Interesting.
But yeah, that one episode I feel like does a good way of towing the line between creepy and being super cozy, because all the people look really cute. They're all pumpkins, but also they're all skeletons underneath. And goddamn, the cat is terrifying. Enoch the cat is terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Well, they're cute. Like, it's weird too because they're cute, but there's a lot of moments where they kind of like, it's almost like the pumpkin skeleton people break because it's like a reveal that they're skeletons. There's just these pumpkin people, and they're like initially kind of cute, but they almost feel like they break the fourth wall and like they say like creepy stuff and stare at the camera, and you have the like up and down of Greg and Wirt, them like punishing Greg and Wirt, but then the punishment is just like an hour of manual labor. And then it looks like they're digging their own graves, but they're actually just freeing the skeletons to become the pumpkin people.
I feel like that's also the first episode where they do a good point of foreshadowing everything about the show. Because, like, you have the whole, like, the one girl pumpkin person ask them why they're there and that they're not ready to be there yet. Essentially saying that they're not ready to die yet. Considering the whole thing is, like, essentially quote-unquote purgatory. And that they also are like, burying their own graves, sort of. They're at least what they think. So it's like, I feel like it does a good job of showing you that, like, what's going to happen later on, I guess. The one thing I'll say about this show, too, is that I like that it doesn't shy away from its themes of being dark and spooky. It kind of embraces it, which a lot of the shows, I think, in general shows for kids, I guess, depending on the situation. You'll have a lot of people talking about like the shows that do it right and do it so well without talking about the rest of like the whole of them not really more so pandering to kids as opposed to understanding that they're smart. And I feel like this one like tries to talk to people. It's like we know what death is, I guess, and it tries to make comments on it in some way, shape, or form, and in other ways it tries to make comments on other things that you don't really see get talked about in other, like, in general, if anything, Cartoon Network shows. So like that's like one of the things that I also love about this show is just how much it has to say, but also how cute it is.
Yeah, it's very, as like heartwarming as it is and like uplifting as it is, it's also very morbid, and it balances it well.
Does anyone want to go into like the reveal of what the Edelwood, like how the Edelwood trees are and what the woodsman's motivation is? Because I feel like we're kind of like that's kind of the center of that. Like it doesn't do what a lot of like kid shows will do, a lot of like family shows will do, where it's like it's there but it's subtext and it'll be like implied that something's really morbid, but they don't like, but the show kind of does go out and say what's happening and how that lantern's being kept lit.
I'll at least tell it, but like yeah, it's eventually revealed at the end, towards the end of the series, that what is it, the woodsman is being used by the beast to capture children's souls in the woods and turn them into Edelwood trees to use the oil to keep his lantern lit, which presumably, according to the beast, has the woodsman's daughter's soul inside it, and therefore if he keeps the lantern lit, his daughter stays alive. However, he does not have access to his daughter, and presumably his daughter her body is gone, and the beast has it in some way, shape, or form, essentially using it as a way to just keep him trapped to continually farm oil for the beast from the Edelwood trees. But then it's eventually revealed that the beast is lying throughout the whole thing, and he did not trap her soul in the lantern, and also it's just using, and it's just using the woodsman to essentially kill children and other people who get lost in the woods of, what is it called? I forget.
The unknown?
The unknown. Yeah, the unknown. Yeah.
And he didn't know.
I didn't know.
That's funny.
To keep him alive.
I mean, and it's not like, his soul's in the lit. And it's not super graphic, but they also do, to an extent, show it as well. Like, it's not just like telling you, oh, Edelwood trees are kids and you're chopping them up and grinding them into oil. You do start to see Wirt and Greg turn in, like, they get saved, but you see them start to turn into the trees. And, you know, I think it's a way of, like, that revelation, you get to keep it pretty family friendly because you're not showing, like, gore. But once you know that, you're realizing, like, oh, the grist mill that the woodsman works at, like, he's chopping up children's bodies and grinding them into oil.
And I think they do a good job with that, like, eerie cuteness, too, because it's still a cute image. Like, it's not gory, there's no blood, like, but you still are watching this, like, little child almost die by getting sucked into a tree.
When Greg is turning into a redwood tree.
Oh, shut up! You know exactly what I mean.
Matt keeps calling them redwoods. They're Edelwoods.
Yeah.
I don't think Matt knows what trees are.
Know your trees.
I don't know what trees
Become an
are.
arborist, you slut.
Know your wood.
It's I like when and then when he was coughing up the leaves, and they said, "Oh, the leaves are even growing inside of him." I was just eating some leaves.
I'm just eating some leaves, which is so Greg.
That was like the one thing that made me like laugh out loud watching this by myself.
I was just eating some leaves.
But even then, you have like the whole all of the trees have faces on them, but like from a distance, everything looks gorgeous in like the backgrounds, which I believe the majority of them are done by Nick Cross, who's a fantastic animator. But like the art from the backgrounds is gorgeous and does a great job of making things look so beautiful and so like they're supposed to be based on a type of painting. I think they're called like Brunel. I was about to say Braille. Brunel.
The trees are Braille.
It's like they're called. It's a specific like painting from like the 1700s. I think they're called Brunel, or I'm probably saying that wrong. It's probably French and it's Brunei.
Right.
But
the French.
You took French, Johnny.
Oui, une baguette.
A+.
Je m'appelle Jacques.
But it does a great job of showing how like gorgeous the scenery is, but then also having the underlying of like all the faces have trees. That's pretty fucked up. And then you also have like
trees.
But then on top of it you have like the beast is entirely made of edelwood and you only get to see him once, and his entire body is just multiple faces carved into the wood, and it's so disturbing to look at.
He's creepy as shit.
But he does have beautiful eyes.
It's honestly like his design is like pretty similar to how they make the devil look in Long Legs.
It's like the Chilling Adventures of
Well, I mean, I guess in general, that's probably there's devil imagery there, but Sean's right.
Yes,
right.
I agree with Sean.
Sean's so well spoken.
What a cutie he is too. Good beard, smells nice.
Eats ass.
He does.
We're just flirting with Sean now.
Yeah. Always have been.
Just to marry him.
I know.
No, I'm marrying Priya, Matt. We went over this.
That's disgusting. Gross. Ew.
Yeah.
Sean, you're also engaged.
You're getting married before us, Sean.
Yeah, and I don't touch my fiance because that would be gross. I don't want cooties.
Exactly.
You just live together.
6 feet apart.
Now for our
now he just waved to.
Yeah, he's like waving off cutesy
for our audio.
His fiance across the room. Like, yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, the show as a whole is just like it. I mean, it's a vibes thing. Like, it is not that the story is not there, not that the likable characters aren't there, but like from start to finish, it's always kind of on the like perfect fall wavelength, and it comes like starting with the its art style. Everything is very like soft. The colors are intense, and it's dimly lit. And everything's round.
I had to take a nap partway through.
There's a gorilla in the woods.
The gorilla. That's the best part. That was so.
The what?
The gorilla in the woods.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so out of the gorilla is so out of left field. I feel like compared to everything else, it's so out of, which is like kind of the point. But every episode is creepy, but they all have kind of a nice wholesome ending for the most part. Sans maybe some cliffhangers.
Also,
Sean, do you know how it aired? Oh man, do you know how the show aired? Because like each episode, it landed on enough of a cliffhanger for me to think like, damn, I would really hate if I had to wait a week.
Especially as they're only like 11 minutes each.
They played it. I think over the course of a couple. I think they played it over the course of a week or 5 days, where they played 2 episodes each day. So it would come out to like a 30-minute time slot essentially, with 2 episodes and commercials and shit. So you'd have to wait a day to finish it.
Can you imagine having to wait even a day?
I feel like I would hate it coming out just because like each episode is 10 minutes long, man, and there's only 10 of them.
Right.
It works. It's format. Like, I like the episodic format. Like, I like that it has like the starts and kind of stops to it. But ultimately, I do think, and I'm curious if y'all agree or not, I do think the best way to view it is in a sitting if you can. Because again, it's like less than 2 hours. It's like a hair under 2 hours total.
10 hours.
And it functions. I corrected myself too.
It is less than 10 hours.
Well, yes, but it's much less than 10 hours. It's just less than 2 hours. But I do think like the best viewing experience is just like at home, get cozy, blanket, warm drink, and just straight through.
I need a nap time in the middle.
Well, yeah, we've watched it since Sean showed it to us. Me and Priya have watched it just about every fall, and Priya does usually start to get too cozy. But I stand by my point. For the most part, I think that's the optimal.
I like having the option. I think the option is really nice.
True.
Of like, it's very digestible. 10-minute episodes is something I can absolutely do 10 minutes. So it's nice to know that I could watch a couple, or I could watch half, or I could watch the whole thing. But I can kind of do whatever I'm feeling in the moment. It doesn't feel like I'm
eat some potatoes
making a big
molasses.
commitment. And that we did.
We did. Has anyone else tried that? I did not particularly enjoy it.
No, it was awesome, but
I've only heard that it's disgusting by most people who have tried it, but I've heard some people try to make it fun and do like potato chips and molasses cookies, which is what I wanted to do. That sounds like a normal thing to eat. I don't think I'd ever want to put potatoes and molasses together.
The one thing I saw a fun like recipe for somebody who made a molasses and mushrooms gravy. So it was mashed potatoes and gravy, but there was just some molasses in it.
But he got us mashed potatoes.
I just literally got us mashed potatoes and put some molasses on top. I took like 2 bites with the molasses, and then I was like, let me just eat some potatoes.
I took one. It was weird.
It wasn't like horrendous, but it just like they don't blend. I thought it had potential just because like sweet and salty is good. You know what I mean? Like
such a strong flavor. However,
and they don't mix at all. It's like you're just getting. I don't know. It's just it doesn't blend.
However, I did understand where Greg was coming from. If my potatoes were intensely unseasoned and molasses was the only option, I was like, you know what? It did add flavor.
And that's a banger. Best song in Over the Garden Wall. It's got to be potatoes and molasses. Obviously. For my money.
The music in the show is also
I like the frog party when all the frogs are
hanging when they're playing the instruments.
Yeah, man. I liked that.
The frog party on their little boat.
Frog party was top 5.
Have we said since we sit? I know in the synopsis I gave, we did mention that the naming and renaming of the frog is a bit of a running gag. That ultimately they settle on Jason Funderburker, which is the perfect frog.
It is the perfect frog,
which is also the name of Wirt's
quote-unquote rival.
I sees him as a romantic rival, but I don't think anyone
classmate / frenemy.
Well, yeah, that's it. Wirt is so intimidated by him, and for so long he's like mumbling under his breath about Jason Funderburker. And, I can't. Sarah's never gonna like me because Jason Funderburker has it all. And then you meet in the flashback episode, meet Jason Funderburker, and he's like this sweet little dweeb.
He's not hot.
And it's so clear that Sarah
nice. He's not sweet at all.
And it's so clear that Sarah is into Wirt and not.
That does sound like him.
Yeah, it's so clear that Sarah's wants to date Wirt, not Jason.
Sarah, do you want me?
Yeah, and Jason's nothing but nice to Wirt too. It's not even there's any kind of back and forth here. It's just Wirt is so insecure and anxious.
I also wait. In terms of the frog episode, I also love that because Jason Funderburker, the frog, is entirely naked the whole time, and they can't.
And everyone
they just keep making fun of him because he's naked and all the frogs have clothes on.
Yeah.
And he covers his little crotch and does
that episode very Spirited Away to me.
I love frogs. That's funny that you say that because I was watching this and Mom came into the room and she just goes, Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
I mean, if you told me it was an inspiration, I'd believe it.
Anti-Whisper?
We were saying that too. Anti-Whisper looks like a Ghibli villain.
For sure.
Anti-Whispers reminds me of Yubaba from Spirited Away.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a few. There's got it. I feel like at the frog boat, we're very
Yubaba
frog boat.
These nuts.
Man, I want to go on the frog boat. I like frogs.
The episode I forgot about though is the one when Wirt ultimately makes the decision to when Greg makes the decision to take Wirt's place as the Edelwood. And he's up in that weird cloud area with all the angels, like floating heads with wings and stuff like that. I completely forgot about that episode.
That
was
weird.
I feel it's so that's the one that it gets to different, like it has like a kind of different color scheme. He's up in like a heaven-like place, and there's all like pinks and stuff like that. It becomes less like fall aesthetic,
it's like fever dream,
except for Greg himself.
Yeah.
And I really was like, I don't remember this at all, and I feel like I've just like shifted realities.
It was giving Rudolph and the Isle of Lost Toys.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Every time I always remember that one because it's the one that stands out the most to me, because it just has the weirdest tonal shift from all of them, because it makes sense why, because you're watching a dream from Greg's perspective. So like he's a kid, he's supposed to be like I don't know, like 5 or something, 6. How old is he?
He clearly is like 6 or 7
high school or middle school.
Yeah, Wert's probably I want to say like 13 maybe.
But I think he said he's in high school because someone was like 2 kids, and he was like, I'm in high school.
Oh, and that he's got to be a freshman then, though. He's got to be like 15.
He's got to be like and then
that's what
I'd say Greg's maybe 10.
I do like the his age when he's at the Halloween party and they talk about, we're gonna go to the graveyard and drink age appropriate drinks.
Yeah. Illegal.
And he's like juice, and Sarah goes, yeah, nothing illegal.
But like that episode was always weird because Greg was I get that it's from like the perspective of Greg and he's a kid, so this is like what he believes heaven to be essentially, and then there's that weird fucking dog just sitting under the rain clouds that is absolutely terrifying.
It is really, really weird. It's kind of the energy though when you see like kids' drawings and you're like, this is both cute but also a little unnerving that this is what's in your head.
Yeah. And so like that's the one that I found the weirdest, but then it has like the worst possible ending of like Greg's turning into a tree. So like that one always hurts me because it like has the weirdest tonal shift, and then it like goes from like being this weird bubbly thing that feels like I'm listening to a 5-year-old's fever dream to he's dying.
Like
is that the same episode?
Happiness, and then it ends with him like walking off with the beast. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
Is that the same episode?
I thought they had me, but they had me.
Is that the same episode as where he was given a wish?
Yeah,
dream episode?
The wish, and she basically tells him like the only way to save your brother is to replace him. Which is, I mean, and that's, I'm a sucker. I'll say this, I mean, me and Jason's relationship is nothing at all like Wirt and Greg's. I mean, we're also full brothers, not half brothers, and like a big part of their.
Are you you don't look that alike.
I'm pretty sure. That's not true.
Alas, they look exactly alike.
But like, there's obviously like a resentment from like Wirt being kind of disgruntled at his mom having a kid with someone else other than his dad. There's clear like tension there. And then on Greg's end, Greg being rather, Greg's innocent, but also I think there's like a desperation to like for Wirt's approval and wanting to be friends with him.
It's little brother vibes.
Yeah. But I mean, so that said, I mean, while it has little to nothing at all, you know, I in my opinion, with my relationship with Jason, I am just a sucker for a good brother story.
Simp.
What?
Simp.
But,
Jake simps for his brother.
Well, it's just, I mean, it's just, the two of them are sweet, and I think the ultimate like coming together of Wirt was always, you know, you get the backstory eventually of like they wound up in the unknown because he was trying to protect Greg from that train, and just in general that story has a lot of like, you know, protect Greg vibes. But like getting into like, you know, come the end, Wirt being happy with, in a better place with his, you know, family situation, and then I think to an extent, Greg, as young as he is, maturing a little bit with like wanting to return. He carries around the rock that he says that's a rock fact, wanting to return that. So what's her name? Old lady. He took it from a neighbor's garden, and he calls her old lady. I can't remember her name, and she said, "Don't call me old." Well, the lady goes, and he goes, "You got it, young man." But there's a certain level of like Greg growing up too. I think of like of eventually realizing the gravity of the situation they're in and taking it seriously, and then Wirt having to take responsibility as the older brother. It's impressive to have something that is a relatively short runtime, to break it up into either even shorter, like 11-minute episodes that they're not self-contained per se. There's always the overarching narrative of them trying to get home. but they each have their own like mini arc.
Subplot, right.
And to take that and to take two characters that are children and have them have such a clear story throughout. And again, there's also very, very interesting, side characters you meet along the way. But it is just such a feat that in less than 2 hours, I feel like you get such a full-fledged story for Greg and Wirt. And you feel protective of both of them, especially if you're older and watching it.
There's another part I want to give a shout out to is the music. You guys talk about that, like that soothing vibe that the show emanates throughout its entire run. The music definitely has something to do with it, and it even starts with the intro, "Over the Garden Wall," sang by, I believe his name was Jack Jones. Let me double check that.
Yeah, it's Jack Jones. He was part of the Rat Pack back in the day with Frank Sinatra and others. He is dead now within the past month.
R.I.P.
Oh, Jack.
Yeah, but he is now immortalized in Over the Garden Wall as Jason Thunderberger. And
I was wondering who that was. Who was the voice of Jason Thunderberger?
Jason Thunderberger? Well, it's Jack Jones.
Wait, are we talking the human or the frog?
The frog.
The frog.
Okay.
He's the singing voice. He sings the intro, and he's Jason Thunderberger when he sings in the ferry.
And at the frog party.
And the people who composed all the music is the Blasting Company, which I do recommend.
It's my nickname in high school.
There is, baby.
Thanks, Frank. That was such a nice conversation, but you can't say the Blasting Company and then...
No, I made a face immediately. Oh, God.
Sorry, Sean and Matt, continue talking about music.
So the music also helps with, balancing the more horror aspects of the show with the more cutesy ones. Like, for example,
Jason just laughed because he's thinking horror.
It did sound like you said horror.
Oh, really?
The more horror aspect.
I didn't think it sounded that much like it, but I immediately saw Jason laugh.
The sluttier aspect.
I'm so sorry, Matt. Please continue. I'm so sorry. Please.
Maybe I should stop talking. Maybe I should just leave.
No. Go off, baby.
Maybe.
I don't know why I called you baby.
I'm too tired for this.
I want to hear about it. You're cute when you're tired. You're funny when you're tired.
Sure. Anyway, so, like, for example, in that episode when they're in that tavern to ask for directions, I love the fact that when Wirt is just trying to have a conversation with the people at the tavern, there's just this little gnome-looking fellow who just keeps going, "I'm the highwayman," and then he just keeps interrupting Wirt until he breaks into song, right? And it goes into like this, really like smooth animation of the highwayman dancing, and it's kind of hypnotic, but at the same time, like, if you listen to the lyrics, is really, really unsettling. Like, he talks about how he's going to knock you out and drive you off the road and steal your stuff. And then as he says, "I'll make ends meet," he slits his throat with his finger. So they're just like, what the fuck is this guy about? This comes out of nowhere and sings this song. And then you have the other moments, like Potatoes and Molasses. It's just like a really, really cute song. And then Mrs. Lane... Is Miss Langtree? Oh yeah, it's Miss Langtree's song in which she just complains about her former lover, as in like an alphabet song, and how every single letter of the alphabet is just another way that he has broke her heart and make her lament.
I wish we got to hear the whole thing.
The whole thing exists.
Me too.
The whole thing.
Yeah, so it goes. Yes. I'm pretty sure the whole thing exists. It's the whole soundtrack is available on Spotify for people who don't know.
I love
and
that
you can listen to the entire song because she goes all the way to Z and it goes to numbers. That's how long it is.
It's so
That's
funny.
crazy. Which is funny because the show ends up with you finding out that the escaped gorilla is actually he put on a gorilla costume to make money and got caught and has been trying to get to her, but everyone's scared of him because they think he's an escaped gorilla.
Yeah,
So she has this whole long song about how he left her, and then it resolves with being like, "JK, he did it, and they're happy now."
Was this Jimmy Brown?
That was
Jimmy Brown.
In my notes, I took a couple notes before I chilled the fuck out and just relaxed and watched the show.
Yeah, Priya was so worried.
I was a little
What do I have enough to say? And I was like, when's that ever been the case for you?
Never. But one of my bullet points is fuck the bitch who's obsessed with Jimmy Brown, and then the sub point is JK, they got engaged. So,
But going back to the that tavern episode, I'm pretty sure there's a few songs there because there of course is the Highwayman song, and then they are talking about how like every single person in the tavern has like a certain role, like the master, the apprentice, which is one of my personal favorite, and like the tailor, who obviously has self-esteem issues.
The tailor was just emo the whole fucking time.
Exactly. And then they were just trying to find out what Wirt's role is, and then they decide to make him like the lover boy, and they break into song about how he should court his lady. It's really, really cute. But then like they talk about like the beast, right? And then they sing about the beast, about like how he turns kids into Adawood trees, and that's just all in one episode. So you get like everything that, Over the Garden Wall is about in that episode, where, it has like these really cute characters. You have really cute character moments. You have good music, but then it's not afraid to, just like not really like pull the rug under you, but to just kind of remind you the circumstances in which Greg and Wirt are facing right now. And it's like, oh, they're not safe. They are in danger. And if they don't get out of here, they might die. But it's more subtle than that, right? The show is much smarter than that, and so you don't really like get that overwhelming sense of doom, which is what it does a great job of doing. Like, if you really think about it, about their circumstances, like they're fucked completely. Like, people in this scenario will turn into Adawood trees and will get turned into oil for the beast. But the show does a good job balancing those more cuter aspects, and it does help that the art design is incredible. Nick Cross's art style and art direction are very, very good. In fact, shout out to Nick Cross because he actually has a YouTube channel, and the reason why I know this is because
I did mention that before in another episode where I mentioned going to see he has a short called Clockwork Elves that's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. He also does like a breakdown. I think it's just called Nick Cross.
It's just Nick Cross? Okay.
Yeah. I think he does like a breakdown of the Highwayman animation, which is how I found out that he had a YouTube channel. And it's pretty awesome. You guys should check it out.
Was he involved with the first thing on his channel I'm looking at is for Merry Little Batman. Did he work on that?
Maybe.
That's pretty good if no one's I'm not seeing his name. He's got some kind of video on his YouTube channel regarding him, so I don't know if he worked on the actual film or not. But
it seems like he didn't, but it's probably just a fan-made thing. I wouldn't be.
I was just curious because that's a pretty cute thing. Anyway.
Oh, apparently he was a concept artist for one of the episodes with Smiling Friends.
Oh no, he did. He did apparently do that a sequence for Merry Little Batman. Huh.
That's cool.
I'm not smiling.
I'm not smiling.
Nothing to smile about in your life?
Nope.
Damn. What about your cats? They make you smile.
Yeah, but she's asleep right now.
Your friends don't make you smile?
They make me do this podcast.
Again, guns not to your head. I never made you do this. I asked and you said yes.
You know who's a smiling friend?
I didn't push. I didn't prod.
You know who's a smiling friend?
Who?
Guess.
Max?
Yeah. Shout out to my puppy. Oh, no. Shout out to my puppy, Maxwell. You think he'll hear this?
It's up to you. You can play it to him.
Yeah, I'll show it to him.
Okay.
He'll probably smile about it.
Nice. No good listener. We're a pro dog podcast. I know that's a hot take.
Fuck you. I'm no longer associated with you guys.
I'm no longer associated with you either.
You love Max.
Yeah, you love all. I'm pretty sure you love like all animals, Matt.
Nah, I hate all animals. Only cats.
You helped care for Max when he just got out of the hospital.
Shush. They need to know my origin story.
Does anyone...
My origin story.
Does anyone have a favorite... I have a feeling I know what Jason's is, but does anyone have a favorite episode from Over the Garden Wall?
What's Jason's?
The frog.
I don't...
The frog.
It's going to be the frog party, because Jason kept talking about how they want to be in the frog party.
That was me playing at the frog party. I was playing the trombone.
I like when they have the little trumpet or whatever on Jason Funderburker's over his eyeball, and they blow into it, even though it's still on the... That was funny.
It was cute.
I liked that. I don't know. I loved the fact that Greg just wanted frogs the whole time, because that's how I feel sometimes.
You just want frogs?
I just want frogs, man. I just want to go find some frogs.
Oh, frog hunt? Was that a thing? That was like
he's going on a frog hunt when you get the like backstory episode. Yeah. Lullaby in Frogland, I believe that is the episode Jason likes. It's hard for me to pick. I mean, the stuff at the end is so creepy and I think like resonant that it's. But ultimately, I think the best. Because like I think it works like the best in a vacuum too is I'm trying to find the name of it, but the one with the pumpkin people in Pottsfield. Is it Hard Times at the Huskin Bee?
Yep, that's it.
It's such a good subversion of like I think it's a genuinely good twist. Like you get there, and especially because it's early enough in the show that you don't really necessarily have like the pattern of like who, yet of that there's going to be someone that you inherently don't trust because of the visuals that you should, or vice versa. So it is like, they're kind of initially cute and welcoming, but when things start getting weird and they start digging graves, and they find these skeletons, it is something that is like immediately a tone setter, but also the eventual reveal that, they're just like freeing these people up to have a party, basically, is a good little twist. And then it still leaves on a kind of ominous note as they move on from Pottsfield and the like big like center of this like pumpkin thing. It's all very cult like too. Is just like, yeah, you'll be back eventually.
It's kind of crazy that the like kind of like most upfront creepy episode is sort of the most wholesome.
That one, you mean?
Yeah, like it's so creepy. It's giving like the who would want to leave is terrifying, right? But they're just preparing for their harvest and, for the people to help, dance with them. It's really nice.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like, the stuff with the like woodsman heavy episodes are pretty creepy as well. With like, especially when you have the mislead on the beast where it's like that dog that ate the black turtle. I can't believe we haven't talked about Burgle and Turks.
I'm going to burgle Jason's turds right now because I can see his tits.
Sorry.
Did something just break?
No, something fell. Yeah. I was grabbing something.
Yeah, I can't believe. I feel like burgle your turks is a line that Sean especially, but in general, has made its way into like I can't even explain why but somehow it's made its way into my vocabulary.
It lives rent free in my head every day.
Just nice.
Every day.
Every day.
It's one of those like when people talk about like the cellar door thing, like there's certain words and phrases that just like scratch your brain the right way. Burgle your turks is one of them.
I'm gonna burgle your turds, Daddy.
Oh.
What's your favorite episode?
It's Schooltown Follies. I just get so excited with potatoes and molasses. The whole thing just is what tickles my brain is that song.
That's tracks because that's like probably the silliest episode I feel like too. Just like the whole escaped gorilla,
completely random.
Teaching these animals how to sing and stuff.
I'm with Jason. Give me more frogs.
That's your frogs are your favorite.
Give me frogs.
Wait, is your favorite the
Fate of the universe?
Talked about with the Highwayman?
Frogs.
No, it's actually the last episode, The Unknown. Also because it's the most memorable for me because that's basically the episode that got me into it. Like that, the whole sequence with the beast was just so haunting to me, and for a second I thought Greg was gonna die. Like the movie actually fooled me into thinking that it'll kill off one of his own characters, and when the woodsman shines the lantern on the beast, and you see like his body is like full of like holes, and he's made from the Edelwood tree. It's such a chilling image. It's really spooky, and yeah, it's extremely memorable, and that's why it's my favorite episode. My second favorite episode is the tavern episode, mostly because I like the music in it.
It's kind of crazy they got introduced in the show from like just about the end of it. Good ending, in my opinion. Does everyone like how it wraps up? I think it's pretty like it kind of does the whole it was all a dream thing, but you see the Jason Funderburker light up, like it's clearly all happened. So I think it doesn't cop out, but I think it's like very, and there's still.
It leaves a little bit of like wonder, and it leaves a little bit up to the audience, I think.
Yeah.
Of like how much of it, was it maybe a dream? Like even though, but then it couldn't have fully been a dream because Jason Funderburker's stomach is lighting up, so he must have eaten the bell. Yeah,
and it's a wholesome end, but it's not like a cop out either. In that like ultimately. You still had to have countless children die and get turned into these trees and this oil for the lantern, and you still have the woodsman ultimately kind of having to like sacrifice himself and his hope of seeing his daughter again to let Greg and Wirt get home.
Yeah,
I think there's still consequences to it, but it ultimately there's lessons learned, and these kids are get home. And for a show that has like wholesome, cozy vibes, if it just had a fucked up ending, it wouldn't fit.
No, it wouldn't. It definitely ended on a really high note, and I think it's very fitting because this whole journey was basically about growth of Wirt's character, about how he needs to grow up and be more responsible, and be able to face the fears in his life. And being able to like basically stare down the beast and basically see through his whole facade is basically a perfect representation of his character growth throughout this entire series, about how he's a much more mature person now, how he looks out for his brother.
Does anyone have any other thoughts before we wrap up? I know I've heard Matt and especially Sean, talk about this show plenty, so I don't want to shortchange any of you.
I just want to say for anyone who hasn't watched this series that you can't really like go into this series expecting like this like flawless story where like there's like everything needs to be explained, everything needs to have like a backstory to it. You guys have to watch it and like treat it like a fairy tale, because that's basically what it is. And so like, because I see people do this a lot, like they go into like these rabbit holes of like, oh, why did a woodsman not know that his daughter was in his house, or like, why did the dead people can't just dig up the dead people themselves? It's like like those type of things, where like it's just nitpicking,
and it's like you kind of have to not nitpick,
like,
just let it be what it is. Yeah,
let it be what it is. Like that's why I was saying like treat it like a fairy tale. Like not everything makes like logical sense.
And also, like, it's kind of going back to something that we've said, I feel like, probably more episodes than we haven't. If you're the type of person that, like, absorbs art and has that kind of issue with things, like, you're just doing shit wrong, man.
Just get the fuck out of here. We don't want your ears listening to this podcast.
Missing the forest for the trees, like
through the Edelwood trees.
Exactly. And just, what I mean? Like, that's just not the way to live life. And it's not the way to, like, and that's not even getting into the fact of, like, humans make mistakes and aren't perfect. So, yes, sometimes they behave irrationally or don't realize something.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's just, I would say it is flawless.
Something else that we did at the end was we watched the 10th anniversary short.
Oh, we also watched the pilot short film too.
Oh yes, but this 10th anniversary short
unknown.
was it was like this 2 to 3 minute like lovely stop motion animation that it was like, it kind of looked like they were wooden, and it was beautiful. I mean, it made me excited as if I hadn't just watched it back to back. But I can only imagine someone watching like the episodes when they come out and then having all their favorite characters come back after for this 10th anniversary. It's really nice.
Yeah, definitely worth, throwing on at the end of your watch as well.
I also believe, I'm trying to look this up so I don't say the incorrect thing, but I think for the stop motion short, they are partially, some of the figures are made of wood.
That's cool.
That was how they did the stop motion animation, and I think others were like just 3D printed, because
That's so cool.
Aardman shows how like they had a whole behind the scenes thing too that they released with it, where they showed like they did carve a good portion of them out of wood, and then they show how like they did all the little sets and everything, and they had to like scan the figures too, because I think Aardman does a lot of their stop motion also with CGI on top of it. So all the eyes and mouths and everything on them are not done in stop motion. All of those are animated on afterwards. So it was interesting to see how they put all the characters together and stuff.
I'll have to watch that. It's beautifully animated.
It's just cool because it's like, obviously animation is a lot of work, but stop motion just feels like so much work.
It is. I mean,
it is.
And it's just really
dying. It's kind of a loss.
It again reminds me of Rudolph and the Isle of Lost Toys, right? And so it reminds me of that Christmas vibe, that like coziness that comes along with the Christmas vibe. So that's
Christmas
probably why I'm partial to it. Shut up, man. You're overrated.
You're overrated.
Maybe I am. And maybe Christmas is also overrated.
Your mom's overrated. No, it's not. Final thoughts, anyone? I mean, I know I have nothing negative to say. I refuse to do a least favorite. It's just absolutely perfect. My favorite thing is probably the God, I don't even know. Maybe just like the art and the background of it all. It's a very, and like the lighting of it, keeping it dim, and like it's just so consistent visually and in such a satisfying, warm way. Kind of ironic since it's good for fall that it feels warm. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a recommend. Like, to me, it's the type of thing that is so good that like everybody ever should watch it. It is worth watching every year for this season. It is worth showing to your loved ones, watching with your loved ones. Like, it's just like,
here's a perfect example.
I don't know what else
if you're a
say.
white woman, just imagine drinking like a fresh cup of pumpkin spice latte. It's basically like that.
You're kind of right. Yeah, I mean, he kind of had me confused, but yeah, I mean it's like a universal version of that.
First
over
of
the
season
garden wall is my
vibes.
pumpkin spice latte.
True.
No one else want to give any wrap up thoughts?
Liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
I liked it.
I don't like Sean very much. I don't much care for that guy.
Fair.
None of us do.
I'm gonna cry now.
Bye.
I thought it was pretty good. I don't consume a lot of cartoons in my day-to-day life.
Yeah, because he's not cool.
I recommend consumption.
Sure. I mean, and I'm gonna sound a little cynical here, but like wholesome type shit isn't necessarily like always my kind of thing. But not in a bad way, just like that's not what I go for. But I quite enjoyed this anyway. You know what I mean? Like, not because I don't dislike wholesome content. I just don't like seek it out.
It also helps that it's also very funny.
It is very funny. Greg's just a happy little idiot.
Greg's a happy little idiot.
He is. He's just a lovable, happy little idiot. And I think that's like my favorite part of it, is him being a happy little idiot.
I aspire to be like Greg.
I
am like Greg.
I aspire to be Greg.
You can do whatever you want. I don't care. And he goes, anything I want? That's a lot of power. And the tree falls down. And he goes, did I do that with my power?
So you recommend it?
So I would recommend it, yeah.
I want more people to watch it, so I recommend it. Everybody should watch it. Fuck you all. Everybody watch it.
Doing an episode on this was your idea, so that makes sense.
Everyone stop what you're doing and watch this goddamn show.
Turn off our podcast and watch the show.
No, finish. We're almost done. Finish the podcast. You got like a couple minutes left to talk.
No, come back.
No, shut up, Priya. You're never welcome back.
After. Go watch it, come back and finish this.
No, finish, watch it, listen again.
Nope.
Twice.
No.
So anyways, my favorite part was the relationship between the brothers. It made my heart happy.
Says the only child.
Yeah, it was so sweet, and clearly that's what I'm missing. Apparently, if we're talking psychologically,
you're Haley and Jason, though.
That's true.
Kind of.
My other like mini favorite thing. I was about to say my least favorite thing was the cops in the show. Because I can't.
Unrealistic. They're nice.
Right, because I can't think of anything. But something that I also thought was silly was that they were like, just kidding, happy Halloween. And they would like try to enforce the law and they'd be like, just kidding, happy Halloween. But yeah, I guess technically my least favorite part was the cops being there, being present.
Valid.
Would absolutely recommend. Hey, go Matt.
Oh, good show. Recommend. That's it.
Good show. Recommend. All right. Well, short, sweet, to the point. Okay. Well, in that case, thank you to Alofett, ALOFETT, for the podcast artwork. Thank you to Jason, our very own Jason, for the podcast music.
Yeah, the episodes. I mean the podcast music. Drum band Faraday Band PA on Instagrizzy. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, you go.
Oh, you're not even plugging. You're not even plugging the upsides anymore.
I said that first.
Oh, I missed it. My bad. That's on me. All right. Well, good plug. So please follow Culture Illiterate on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to Culture Illiterate Podcast on YouTube. Any of our socials, the is at illiterate_pod. Go follow us. Look for that thing. If it's there and it has our logo, it's us.
Look for that thing.
So you can email us at cultureilliteratepod@gmail.com. Please do. That's fun if I get a random one of those. We're going to have a Christmas special out in December. So just this one episode for November, and then just one episode next month for December for discussing a to-be-announced, to-be-settled-on Christmas movie. And then in the new year, we endeavor to be back on our every other week schedule, following a new series of movies that is also to be announced. Till then, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and we will see you then.
Bye.
Bye.